My neighbors are, as the French would say, the shit out of each other across the way, and I caught a glimpse. And now I don't feel like I'm in the right headspace to do this. Headspace. Space for head. There's always... No! This is toxic Okay. Get a snack. Get a notebook. Some tea. Spark up. Whatever you want to do. This one's going to be a doozy. I've watched so many toxic relationship videos because my situation was so long and so layered and so much happened that when I originally thought about doing this video, which I've been thinking about for literally years, when I thought about doing this video, I didn't even know like where to attack it, how do I start, where do I begin. So I actually went on Twitter and asked you guys, told you I was making this video, and then I asked you to send me questions, and I was going to open it up to Instagram too, but the questions that y'all sent me through Twitter were so good and everything that I wanted, and it pretty much covers most of it, that I didn't want to complicate things and then open it up to Instagram, and then I'm sitting here for, you know, 3 hours rehashing and being redundant and that type of thing. So I'm going to first tell you my story, and then I'm going to get into your questions, but I do want to say trigger warning. I am talking about a toxic relationship. There was a bit of physical abuse, but it was that wasn't our main issue. Our main issue was just a lot of emotional, just like wild emotional abuse, just a lot of manipulation and just overall no care and consideration when it came to the individual's mental health. Therefore not dealing with stress in a healthy way, therefore manifesting itself into this giant shit show that was this toxic relationship. The reason why I'm making this video is because, one, when I was going through it, when I was in it, and I don't even mean like in the toxic relationship, but when I was still really feeling it, still dealing with my ex, still like when it was something that I had to confront and deal with every day directly, I have never felt so alone in my life. And I enjoy my solitude. I like being alone. I'm so comfortable by myself, but this situation got so bad that the place that I would go for safety, which is inward, that was a place I didn't find comfort in anymore. So I'm making this video for everyone who's still in it, whether that means you're still dealing with it or you're still in the relationship. I get it, girl. I get it. It felt like I was losing my mind, because oftentimes it felt like I was living in two different realities. The reality that was my life and the reality that she was experiencing. Because, oh girl, we're gonna get into it. I'm already confused. Are you confused? I'm sorry. So I'm making this video for those of you who are still really in it and just need to hear someone with a similar story, or just hear from someone say, bitch, I get it. I've been through that shit too, and I'm still going through with it, and I'm still going through it now. Like, I'm with you. This is for you, because those videos really helped me. Obviously it didn't, nothing to the effect of actually being out of the situation, but you know, watching someone, hearing someone tell their story and being able to be like, yes, bitch, same. I know the power of that. So I hope that this helps for that reason. Another reason I'm making this video is for those of you who don't know you're in a toxic relationship. You might be, and maybe after you hear, you know, my story and I answer some of the questions, you will gain some insight and maybe start questioning some things. And the last reason I'm making this video is because closure, I guess. I never got that. I was fed the idea that because this story involves someone else and the actions of someone else, as well as my own, but more importantly them, and because it did have to deal with mental health and a lot of this shit is personal, they made me believe that it wasn't my story to tell, when really it's my trauma, so it's always going to be my story to tell. And you just don't want me to tell it because you're involved. I can't do anything about that. You can't do anything about that. But this video is in no way, you guys, this video is in no way, and I know the person's probably gonna watch this video too, it is not an attack. I'm not coming at this trying to be malicious. I'm not coming at this out of trying to be petty or spiteful. That's never been me, ever. And it never will be me. It's been me before. I'm not, yes. For the most part, especially when it comes to things and people that matter, that's not something that I participate in. Let me move this pillow because I feel like y'all can see my head better now. Okay. Bitch got a haircut. You see the point, bitch. How did things begin? Yes, there were traces of just suspicious behavior in the beginning. I don't think that this is a case of like wrong person, right time, or right person, wrong time. I think it was a matter of just wrong person, wrong time. I don't regret it because it taught me a lot, but I don't want to, I don't like saying that because it makes it seem like I shouldn't have to go through some traumatic shit to learn a lesson. Fuck that. On top of just all of the very textbook like abusive or toxic behavior that was happening, we were in our early 20s. There's just a lot of shit that you're having to figure out for the first time, and I think that just everything put together just like made a shit pie. What made it toxic? Mismanaged trauma. Our relationship, or the poor health of our relationship, started to affect other areas, work, family, creativity, like just it's areas where you should feel supported by your person. I felt stifled. Number 3, there was a shit ton of emotional abuse. There was a lot of manipulative behavior. For example, anytime I needed to make a decision, or I was trying to make a decision for the overall like betterment of my mental health, or my safety, that was always taken as or interpreted as an act of selfishness. It was interpreted as me giving up on us, as me not really being in it, or not really being committed. I was told that, you know, love is supposed to be hard, which also, fuck that. Love is not supposed to be that hard. You shouldn't feel like it's you against your person. And no one person should feel like they are responsible for the entire relationship. Like they shouldn't, not one person should be working way more than someone else, than the other, or others. Let's not be, you know. So that's what made it toxic. When did you realize that your relationship was toxic? I didn't realize that my relationship was toxic until I was out of it, until I had completely like literally changed zip codes. It's like I knew there was stuff that was wrong. I knew there were things that was happening that weren't supposed to be happening. After a while of being a punching bag, not literally, emotionally, mentally, like you kind of become numb to everything. You know, it wasn't until I talked about it out loud to someone to hear myself and be like, wait, what? You know, like that was her reaction when she found out that you took her off your Netflix account. Wow, that seems like a lot. It just didn't feel like it was my life. Like it felt like my life was like, it felt like I was watching it happen, but it wasn't me. And I think that's just because everything became normal. Like it became normal. As I mentioned before, mental health, she did have a few mental illnesses, and so mental health is a big part in this. But you know, if her having an episode and throwing whatever, the closest thing, a remote or a candle or a pair of headphones or a microphone, like whatever, if an episode is her doing that and that happens 4 times a week, after a minute I just kind of ducked, stood out of the way and waited until she was finished, and then I stepped in, you know. So like after a while I just kind of let the abuse happen because I just expected it and I was used to it. And so it wasn't until I was out of it where I realized the severity of all that shit, until I realized that this is someone who does not care about your safety. This is someone who does not care about your mental health. This is someone who does not care about you. They can say it as much as they want, and they did, but it doesn't change the fact that every day they choose to make you feel like they hate you. So I had to completely remove myself to be able to have like a bird's eye view of the situation and be able to question everything. And at the time I was with a therapist. I was seeing someone regularly. I saw them for like a year. And so I was going to therapy. I was talking to somebody about it. It's different though when you talk to someone who knows you, like on a friend level or even family. Because my family didn't know really about any of the shit until cops had to be called, which we'll get into. Well, we won't, but you know what I mean. And once I removed myself, I just questioned everything. A note from the editor. Just because you have a mental illness doesn't mean that you are going to be abusive or that you are abusive. Those things don't go together. It's mental health that was just on a straight decline. And because of that, on top of, you know, the added stress of just life and everything else that happens, shit got bad. But I don't want to, I wasn't trying to say that if you do struggle with a mental illness, that means that you are an abusive partner, or you have or you're going to be an abusive partner. I also want to add that just because you have a mental illness does not automatically mean that you have poor mental health. Most of this shit is manageable. Most of this shit you can take medicine for. If it's not something you need to take medicine for, there are coping methods and different ways to practice. There's homework, there's therapists available that people use. And so I just wanted to communicate that just because you have a mental illness does not mean that you have poor mental health. I understand that this shit is not black and white. Mental health is not either good or bad all the time. I was just, you know, in my feelings recording this video, so I wasn't being as clear as I probably could have been. So I just wanted to say that I made this video with the understanding that mental health slides as you navigate life, and sometimes you make the right decision and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you are good to yourself and sometimes you're not. I understand doing the thing that is good for you is also the thing that is the hardest thing to do. So just wanted to make that clear. Do you remember what the first red flag was in the relationship? Yes. This was either right before we got together or right after. She told me that she was a lot. And I feel like a lot of people say that. You know, I'm just a lot, you know, I'm a lot to handle. What does that mean exactly? When you say you're a lot, what does that mean? Does that mean that you suffer from depression and you're doing nothing about it? Does it mean that you have anxiety? Does that mean that you don't know how to enforce boundaries? What does you being a lot mean actually? Because when you say it like, you know, I'm just a lot, it makes it sound like it's a personality trait, like you're just a local Nene Leakes, when really it's just you've got a lot of mismanaged or just undealt with shit, and you're telling me about it because you're either going to take it out on me and I need to deal with it, or you just don't plan on dealing with this at all, or even in a healthy way, so I just need to brace myself for whatever happens. But that was definitely the first red flag, because the thing is that she could have used that opportunity to tell me what was actually going on with her, what she had been through that makes her be a lot, but she didn't, and instead chose to make it sound way more casual than it was by saying, you know, I'm just a lot. So that was definitely number one. And the second red flag, the second big red flag, before we lived together, she told me that I'm gonna need you more than you're going to need me. That was the worst thing we could have ever done. I don't have many regrets, if any, with that relationship, but my one regret would probably be allowing that to fly, allowing that concept of I need you more than you're gonna need me to be our foundation, because that's not balanced. That's an imbalance that enforces the idea that I was never gonna be cared for the way that she expected to be cared for. She was always going to be priority, and that fucked us up. There was a pattern that happened of like something would go wrong, whether it was like something to do with us or something that was beyond us. Something would go wrong and Jade would have to take the opportunity or take the responsibility to fix it. I actually had a motto during the whole relationship. I would say, we'll figure it out. I said that all the time. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. When really, I figured it out. Or we both couldn't figure it out. And that's why we self-destructed. The reason why she said that is because she does deal with having a mental illness. But the thing is that when she said that and I agreed, we basically signed a contract that, it sounds so dramatic, but we basically signed like a verbal contract where ultimately it was my responsibility to deal with her mental health. But your mental health is your mental health, and your mental health is never anyone else's responsibility. That was a big issue too, because I took the responsibility for so much shit I shouldn't have. I took responsibility for her mental health. I took responsibility for her episodes. I took responsibility for literally everything. Like I apologized all the time. And that is a part of the mental health conversation that I don't feel like happens a lot. Is one, mental health within relationships, especially poor mental health in relationships. So that's one whole fucking thing. But two, the accountability and responsibility that comes with your mental health, whether it's great or if it's not. And she would say often like, you don't like me, or you don't love me, or you don't want to be with me because I have mental illness. That's never been the truth. That has never been the case with me. My issue was that she never took accountability for her actions when her mental health wasn't great. Meaning, if there was an episode that would happen, or if there was just a big blow up of some kind, well, Jade, you shouldn't have said that, or Jade, you shouldn't have done that, and then I wouldn't have, thrown your microphone, and then we wouldn't be in this mess. So like it always fell back on me somehow. And that's fucked up. That's not love. That's toxic as shit. That's manipulative, and that is textbook emotional abuse, people. I was always the one that was supposed to make sure that none of these things happened. They didn't take accountability for anything. It's like, if everything would have happened and then the next day she would have been like, hey, I noticed that this happened. I'm sorry if I made you feel like you weren't in a safe environment. I probably would have felt, I know I would have felt differently, but that never happened. And instead I was manipulated and told that everything was my fault. Being a Leo, what did it do to your ego? Because we have them. And how did you bounce back and remember who the fuck you were? First of all, you ain't shit, because you ain't have to single Leos out like that. You could have just been like, you as a person, how did you deal with your ego? You know what I mean? But it's fine. It deflated my ego. I was embarrassed that this was my relationship. I was embarrassed that I was choosing to be with someone who showed me on a daily basis how much they prioritize their comfort over me, period. So I was embarrassed by my relationship. I didn't want to be that girl, that was in a toxic relationship. I didn't want to be the girl in the YouTube video talk about toxic relationship. Like, I just didn't see that for myself. And I think that's mainly because I associated people who go through things like this as weak at the time, when really this shit can happen to anybody. And the thing about emotional abuse is that it's so careful, it's so insidious, it's so interwoven into like everything that you don't even see it happening until the bomb goes off. And how did I bounce back? Ooh, bitch, I indulged. I spoiled the fuck out of myself, because for the last bit of us being together, and really I'm saying being together, but we broke up in what, February 2018? and I moved out in July 2018. So even during that during that February to July, I was still living there, pretty much paying all the bills. I'll say 70% of the bills. I was paying 70% of the bills by myself. There was a month, I think there was like a month where I had to pay the entire rent by myself. And then let's not go into it. But so when I moved out, I was only financially responsible for myself. And so I had extra money because I'm no longer supporting two people. And so, you know, bitch started getting haircuts more often. Bitch got some new clothes, maybe got a new pair of shoes. Maybe I might go to, you know, the outlets and see what's popping up there. Bitch got a skincare routine. Bitch got a gym membership. And I spoiled still do, honestly, spoiled the fuck out of myself. And I indulge a lot. But it's because I work hard. I work my ass off. And for so long, I was told that I cannot enjoy the fruits of my labor. I can't even talk about the fruit, because if I talk about the fruit, then it's gonna remind this person of an insecurity that they have now given me the responsibility of tiptoeing around because they haven't dealt with the shit. I was in this place where I was fully able to focus on me, and that's what I did. I went out more, I drank more, I smoked more. More importantly, I allowed myself to be loved on, lusted on. And I think through all of that, I had to like relearn who I was by myself, because all I had known was who I was with her and who I needed to be with her. Bitch started taking more pictures on the gram, and bitch really just this has always been me, but she was buried like way down. I'm good. I know how to take care of me, and I know how to set my life up in a way that's going to, well, now I at least know how to set my life up in a way where I can be successful. And I think I literally had to like fill myself, and I had to be selfish, and I had to only worry about me and what the fuck I had going on, you know, to really get back in my Leo vibes, you know what I mean? I think when we initially split, I think that I kept that contact because I needed to know that she was better, because I had suffered. And that was my ego. That was my ego saying, there's no way this girl's gonna dog you out and there be no fucking reason for it. So she's better because of you. She's smarter and wiser and healthier because of the shit she went through with you. And you played a major role in her progress. Like that was my ego though. And that's not important, and that doesn't fucking matter. Like I needed her to like apologize to me so that I knew that I was important in her progress, you know. And whether I was or I wasn't, at this point, I don't fucking care. I just hope that I remain in a space that I can grow in, and that she remains in a space that she can grow in, because and that's another thing, I don't wish her any harm. I don't wish her, I legitimately wish her nothing but success, because whether she's succeeding or failing, it doesn't affect me at all. So why not let her succeed? Why not let me succeed? And then we're both good for ourselves and then for everyone around us, because when we're not good, that's literally bad for everyone. So I feel like I just gleeked on you, sorry. And I think it also took a lot of growth for me to even say that, because it was fuck her forever in my book, you know. Even though I never want contact ever again, I don't wish anything bad upon her, because I just don't care enough to. Did the person in the relationship know they were being toxic while being in the relationship, or did they realize afterwards? I don't know. You'd have to ask her. I don't even know if she would even consider it. I think she would consider it toxic. I don't know if she would consider it abusive, but I mean, I literally sat with her therapist after we broke up, and we recanted a lot of these nights, a lot of these incidents that would happen. And her therapist said straight to her face and mine that this is textbook emotional abuse. So that's as far as I know, but you'd have to ask her. How did you heal from your previous toxic relationship enough to move into your next relationship with no emotional baggage? Well, that's just impossible. I think we need to stop assuming that just because someone has been through some shit, that means that they are a broken person. Everybody comes with emotional weight. Everybody comes with like a past and shit that's happened to them or shit that they've done. But for me, it's an everyday thing. I literally have to practice this every day. I have to constantly remind myself that my ex is not my current. I have to practice setting boundaries. It's literally practice until they're habits. So I just do that, and I'm definitely, I'm working on my trust. And you gotta just talk about shit, like my girl now, she's not intimidated by any of this. You gotta be honest with people about shit you've been through, shit you're struggling with. But yes, it takes practice and constant reminders and a lot of Issa Rae mirror moments to heal. What's something you learn not to carry with you in your next relationship? Apologizing for everything. I lived in an environment where I had to keep the peace, and if I didn't keep the peace, then something bad would happen, usually to me. When something bad would happen, I would take responsibility for that, and I would say, sorry, I didn't do X, or sorry, I said X or didn't say X, and I would apologize for everything all of the fucking time. And so in this new relationship, and my current girl actually pointed it out to me, she was like, you apologize for a lot of shit you don't have to. Like, you apologize for dumb shit. And that's why she's a G. But yeah, just like apologizing for every stupid little thing. Like, also not taking ownership of other people's problems. Fuck. My girl will tell me about her day and something that went wrong, and it could be the smallest thing, like, or the biggest thing. And then in my mind, my gears are going and I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, what can I do? How can I insert myself in this? What does JADE need to do right now? When really it's just like, no, you picked a good one. She can handle herself and she can handle her problems. You just be supportive and you just do your thing. Let her figure her shit out. How is it operating out of a place where there is no toxicity? Did it feel scary or weird? How is it now that that chapter has ended, and are you free? I don't know if I'm out of it just yet. Literally, yes. Like we're not together, we're split, been split, but I still have a lot of anxiety. This person is still a trigger for me. Like, it's like I'm out of it, but I'm still dealing with that's the thing about toxicity, is that it lingers, so I'm still dealing with the lingering effects of it. It does feel nice to have that not be my everyday, just not have that weight, not be so exhausted, to not be so fucking stressed over shit I shouldn't be stressed about. Like, I remember thinking that I was like, I'm too young to feel this way. Like, I feel this isn't the life I'm supposed to have right now. I remember thinking that a lot when I was in it. It wasn't until I removed myself when I started to feel unsafe. Which doesn't make any sense, because you would think I would feel unsafe there. I mean, I did, but it wasn't anything that gave me any anxiety. And I think it's because when I was there, I could see her. I knew what she was doing. I knew what she was thinking. But now that I'm out, I don't know where she's at. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know what she's thinking. I guess I'll just go ahead and get into the next question. The answer to this kind of bleeds into the answer of the next question. Someone asked me, what was the final straw that made you leave? Was it a big thing or was it a small thing that had a lot of pent up emotions and past problems behind it? Note from the editor, I realized I didn't actually answer this question. The answer that I'm giving you in the video is the first time I actually made my ex feel consequences for her actions. Because before that, I hadn't really done shit. I let shit roll off my back. I didn't say anything, just to maintain status quo. But this is the first time that I actually like enforced a boundary. To answer your question, really what it was is I have been tried to explain and communicate to her that I wasn't happy, and it seems like we have the same conversations over and over again. It seems like I keep bringing the same issues to her, she keeps bringing the same issues to me, and nothing changes, nothing happens, no matter how much I work on stuff and how much she says that she works on stuff. So basically what the final straw was is she finally agreed to break up, because she had been unhappy just like I had been. But before then, whenever I would bring that conversation to her, she'd say, oh, well, it's because of this that's happening, and it's because of this is happening, and once this gets dealt with, then everything will be fine. And basically, like, the reason why we were unhappy had to do with like outside forces, outside people, or me. Like, it was a personal thing that I had to deal with on my own. Like, it wasn't actually an issue that had to do with us and us being dysfunctional. I think once it got to like a very, 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 very low point, that's when she finally agreed and was like, you know what, yeah, shit's trash. So that's the answer to your question. She broke into my house, to put it plainly. It's a whole thing. But she broke into my shit, and I was asleep. And this happened after I was moved out. So this happened after we were together. I still deal with anxiety at night, and I replay that night. I remember being in my bed and I had my salt lamp on, and then just hearing glass shatter, because my old apartment, I had a door, a patio, a sliding glass patio door next to my front door. And ever since that night, number one, it's hard for me to sleep with my Himalayan salt lamp, because my room looks like how my room looked that night, and it just kind of fucks with me. When I sleep, it has to be quiet as fuck, because any sound, any something hitting the ground, anything, it like just puts me in a panic. Honestly, I really can't sleep unless I'm high, to be honest with you. I have really bad nightmares. I've had really bad nightmares though my entire life, and after that night they've just gotten worse. So that's why I say I'm like in it, but like I'm not. Like, I'm still dealing with the lingering effects of the shit that happened, but I do feel not as bogged down by it or her. And mainly because, and I think that's also to do with the fact that there's so much positivity and there's so much growth that's happening in my new relationship, that like, I don't want to say it's overshadowing that, but it's definitely, it's giving me what I need to be able to restore my mental and restore my emotional, so that I can deal with that in a healthier way, if that makes sense. How did this relationship affect the way you saw/see yourself? It made me feel like I wasn't supposed to be loved, or cared for. Yeah, I just believed that I just wasn't supposed to be loved, and I believed that I wasn't supposed to be a part of a union, because I had tried that, and clearly I'm really bad at it, because I'm the one who keeps like making all these mistakes. I'm the one, it's my fault why all of this shit keeps happening in my current relationship. I have never felt so small. I have never felt so invisible. I've never felt so insignificant until that relationship. It also made me feel like I wasn't, this is dumb. No, it's not. It fucking matters. I also felt like I wasn't supposed to be like desired. And to give you an example of that, I remember there would be times where we would be going to someone's house and I'd throw on like some jeans and a t-shirt, or some jeans and a button up or something. And because she didn't feel great about herself, she would look at me and say, well, why do you look so cute? We're just going to so-and-so's house. Like, why are you trying to do all that? Like, you're doing a lot right now. And she would either make me change, or she would throw a tantrum about how she didn't have anything that she felt good in, and we just wouldn't go. So every time I tried to be cute, pretty much, it was a bad thing. And so I internalized that as I need to be someone that doesn't cause attention. I'ma just be quiet. I'm not gonna boast about my accomplishments, which was another thing. Like if I was doing if I had a really good month, for example, financially, like just me, like in my job and what I was doing, she would take that as a personal attack against her because I'm privileged and I have a degree that she doesn't. I'm just not allowed to enjoy my successes as much, even though they benefited her too, because I was also paying her bills. It didn't make any sense, but just like I just started to believe that I just wasn't supposed to share my successes, and I started to believe that I just wasn't supposed to like just be this person that was worthy of being wanted in a sexual way. Yeah. Are you seeking professional help to assist with healing and growth? I saw a therapist. I was seeing a therapist, saw her for like a year, but she just wasn't giving me what I wanted. Well, not what I wanted, but what I needed. And so I'm currently in the process of looking for another one. My old therapist, she did help me out with like different coping methods and just ways to deal with anxiety and that type of thing. But I'm looking for someone to really help me out with like PTSD, and more specifically like my nightmares. I have really bad nightmares. How did you contribute to the toxicity? Towards the end of our relationship, I could tell she was trying to work on things, and she would have like a weak moment or just a moment where, you know, just doing the right thing or doing the hard thing was just too much, and she'd kind of go back into those bad habits. And because of that, I would tell her that like, you know, if you say you're working on stuff, but like this shit is still happening. But the problem was that she was working on things. It happened way too late. Like it happened at a time where I didn't have the emotional or mental fortitude to deal with a mistake. So I will say that also is that for the times where she did try, I invalidated her progress. And I'm not happy about it. Like I'm making this video not to like paint her in a bad light. I'm making this video to share my story, exactly what I'm doing. And I do want you to know how you also can be contributing to the toxicity too, because all of this shit is about perspectives. Like this is just my side of the story. She could tell her story and give you something completely different. So like we all interpret the world through the lens of our own experience. So I'm not saying all of this without acknowledging my role and what I did. And that is the video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you got something from it. Send it to a friend if you need to. And yeah, leave comments down. Oh, comments are gonna be weird. Do what you want, I guess. Like the video, subscribe if you have not. And yeah, I'll be back to my fuck shit very soon, guys. But I just had to get on here and be real with you for a second. So I'll see y'all soon in another one. Bye, girl.